Mayor Bowser of DC just said the most insane thing on live TV, pretty much surrendering to President Trump in what had to be a humiliating moment for her. Also, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., our Secretary of HHS, is working hard, spending time on air talking about his new initiative to get medical schools to finally teach nutrition. Sounds a bit long overdue, right? So this is going to be a really good episode, and I'm excited to show you. So welcome to that. I'm Moreno. Show if you like having conversations like this, please consider liking, subscribing. Now let's jump right in. So let's start with RFK Jr. on Fox and Friends.
You know, one of the things that we were going to talk about on this show is our newest initiative to try to get the medical schools to start teaching nutrition. Right now, only about 15% of doctors say that they feel competent to give nutrition advice. 7 out of 10 Americans die from diet-related diseases. So, and you know, you can reverse up to 50% of diabetes cases just by changing the diet. And yet we have a medical community that is writing prescriptions largely and doesn't even feel competent. So we've gone to the medical schools, we've gone to the MCAT testing companies, and we've gone to the accreditors and said, we want to see real nutrition classes taught at every medical school in this country. Typically, even medical schools that say that they have nutrition classes or opportunities only give you about 2.5 hours during your entire medical school.
Wow.
And we want our physicians to be able to give dietary advice and nutrition advice to their patients and not just rely on the pharmaceutical paradigm.
2.5 hours during their entire time in medical school. Are you kidding me? That's what's designated to nutrition so far. That is ridiculous. I don't know if you caught that, but even the hosts in the background are completely stunned by this, just saying, oh, wow, can't believe this. I am telling you, I actually talked about this exclusively on the website, but I will say it again here. Like, I remember growing up being told that nutrition is food, but I think somewhere along the line, we forgot about that. So I, for one, I'm grateful to have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. working hard to help us not only reclaim our health, but our nutrition, because it truly is one and the same. And this does tie into the broader conversation happening right now, which is the fight for one of our health institutions, right? Stephen Miller today outside the White House talking about the current state of the CDC. Watch this.
As we know, the CDC's credibility was shattered during the COVID era. This is now widely understood and widely acknowledged. And CDC used to be, of course, or seen widely around the world as a premier health agency. And much of the world discovered in the last few years that CDC was actually staffed by a lot of very partisan, very political bureaucrats who weren't at all concerned about public health and weren't actually very knowledgeable about public health. And we are working hard. And more importantly, Secretary Kennedy, one of the world's foremost voices, advocates, and experts on public health, is working hard to restore the credibility and the integrity of CDC as a scientific organization committed to the scientific method and getting to the root causes of the public health epidemic in this country. You know, there's one chronic illness after another where we have seen incidences and rates in the Western world in general, in America in particular, skyrocket over recent decades and years, both childhood illnesses and adult illnesses. And we know that the drivers of these chronic illnesses are things that can be explained both through environmental factors, both through pharmacological factors, as well as other things that impact public health and well-being. But there has been no serious effort until Secretary Kennedy came along to deal with these systemic root drivers of chronic health. And it's an honor to be able to work with Secretary Kennedy as he tackles these issues on behalf of President Trump.
So good. And, you know, this isn't just criticism for its own sake, but it really is a battleground for our future in one of the most powerful and influential agencies in the country. Also, our HHS secretary responded with this. He said, "Thank you, Stephen Miller. The fact that only 15% of healthcare workers are complying with the CDC's latest recommendation is a testament to the universal collapse of faith in this broken agency where dogma and commercial influence reign over science. With gold standard research, honesty, transparency, and President Trump's leadership, we will depoliticize the CDC and restore public trust." And these events also come after another senior CDC official resigned in a protest after posting a scathing letter online that went massively viral. One, because of its length, because this thing is incredibly long. I like cannot read all this in today's episode. But two, because it ends with his signage and his pronouns, right? And one of the most liked comments is actually this: all I needed to see was that he felt the need to add his pronouns at the end. That told me all I needed to know. All while that's going on, President Trump just made a headline-grabbing move. All right, to look at this, he just canceled Kamala Harris's extended Secret Service protection. So normally, vice presidents or former vice presidents only get about 6 months. So Harris's naturally did expire in July, but apparently President Biden did extend it for another year. And if you want to know why, according to the New York Times, it reads, Mr. Harris's aides asked Mr. Biden's team for the extension because of security concerns. Mr. Trump didn't explain why he was rescinding Ms. Harris's extended protection. All right. And finally, we have Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C., their mayor. On live TV, she admitted that she's been personally working with Trump's chief of staff, as well as Pam Bondi, and even the president himself. Check this out.
To say that I have been personally engaged with Attorney General Bondi and the president's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and I spoke with the president this afternoon. And I was reminded of our first meeting after his reelection, where we discussed shared priorities for the district. There, I was reminded that the president's interest in cities predates his time in office, and his knowledge of DC had significantly increased from the first time he was in the White House. And so we knew that the priorities around safety and investment in infrastructure would be on the president's mind.
So this is Bowser essentially conceding that Trump is engaged and invested in this city's future. So for someone who spent years clashing with him, this must have been a moment of surrender, and it must have stung. So tell me, should nutrition be extensively taught in medical school? Seems like it's fairly common sense if you were to ask me. Should Trump have revoked former Vice President Harris's protection? And what do you think about Mayor of DC, Muriel Bowser, giving President Trump some credit? Was it due? Let me know anything about this in the comment section. You made it this far, please consider liking, subscribing, and why don't you go ahead and turn on that notification bell, because you made it this far. It must mean that you enjoyed it. All right. And have a great rest of your day. Episode's over already? Geez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.